All right, I like this. This is a really good question. Yes and no. The way we vote for president today is completely detached from the original intent that the founders had. Remember, the founders of the United States government and the writers of the Constitution, they were not interested in direct democracy. A lot of them actually feared it. They thought that if everybody who was uneducated and had a choice to vote for president, that would just be mass chaos, and you get people in charge who didn't know what they were doing, and you'd have people who were just getting into power to be in power and abusing that power and doing a bad job and saying stupid things for notoriety, and they might have been right. Anyways, however, there was still some popular voting that went on. I believe about 13% of the population voted in the election of 1800. So not very high voter turnout. In some states, especially some southern states, I think Georgia and I want to say maybe South Carolina. It was one of the Carolinas. I'm not 100% sure. But they actually ended their popular vote and went ahead and had their legislatures elect the person. During this time period, since we're not directly electing the president, since we're using the Electoral College, the electors are selected by the state legislature. So it's up to the individual states to decide how they're going to hold those elections. A lot of states are just using the state legislatures to approve the election for who they want. The argument they're making is that the people chose the state legislature, and the state legislature is, in all cases, directly elected by the people. And then those state legislatures are choosing who the electors are. So it's a true representative democracy. Other states allowed people to vote and went with that to go on it. And presidential elections worked a lot differently then too. They ranged from like April until the end of November when the electors had to be chosen. So each state decided how they did that. Also understand that while we're talking about how the Federalist Papers and all these other items that are being put out, not everybody could read at this time. I think the average literacy rate in the United States was either in the 50s or 60s percentile, which is higher than most other nations, but it's still not at the standards we are today. I think today we're at like 90 to 95% literacy rate in the United States. But great question. So no, most people wouldn't have been allowed to vote. Most people wouldn't have voted in this election. Some people would have, though. Just kind of depending on where you were.